Morning. It's new book day, everybody. Hello, hello. It's 11:26. You're early. Uh-oh, I'm a little bit early. A few minutes. I figured if I jumped on a few minutes early, no one would be too upset. But we are here, ready to start a brand new book today, which is exciting. I think, anyway. I'm very excited to jump back into this world. If any of you did not read the last book with us, it's all up on the YT for you to listen to. How was everyone's weekend? Hey Gigi, hey Naisa. Did everyone have a good weekend? Did anyone do anything fun? Is everyone ready for tonight's last round of this week's fantasy football? I intend to kick butt in both my leagues this week. Thank you very much. I had to do a little fancy footwork to get my team to be not crap muffins, but here we are with a non-crap muffin team, so congrats to me for figuring out the system. Yeah, Becca's weekend was not bad. That's true. Not to brag, but I think I'm learning fantasy football pretty well for a newbie. Just sharing my little sickness through the rest of the house. Oh, that sounds truly awful. I'm sorry to hear that. Ew. They are petri dishes, aren't they? They are petri freaking dishes, those children. We have Roll for Slime this afternoon, just FYI. Hey, Sloth. What else? I don't know what else. It's kind of the whole kit and caboodle. Morning, Avery. Weekend was bad, then good. Right. I saw that, Liz. Yeah. On your stuff. I have the hiccups, as usual. Nothing like your germ magnet petri dish 5 days a week, that's right. Wishing pregnancy on you. Well, good news. You succeeded. It was very fast. Guys, someone came on this live just now and wished pregnancy on me, and miraculously, I'm 6 months pregnant. They are very in tune with the world. I think that person should charge for their skills. That, I mean, a lot of people would pay money to have it work that fast. Don't you think? I mean, there are people out there who really want a baby, and to get to skip the first 5 months of pregnancy, just bam, baby. Swoosh. Just jump right in at the 6 month mark. I don't want your spawn though. Yes, you do. You want my spawn, Becca. Becca wants my spawn so badly. Becca would die to have my spawn. Oh, theirs. Yeah, no, you don't want theirs, but you want mine. I think mine's gonna be cute, and you're all gonna lie to me whether you like it or not. You're gonna say she's the cutest baby you've never seen. Can we give my pregnancy brain just a little bit of props for a second about something it's managed to do? So pregnancy brain, we all know, makes your brain go cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, and somehow, despite having pregnancy brain, I have managed never to spill secret husband's name or secret baby's name in any videos or lives. I have kept it on lock. I think I deserve a prize for being that together with my brain cells. Thank you, thank you. Do I know how terrified you are of being pregnant again? Do you know who has spilled both his name and the baby's name in videos, and I had to restart videos multiple times? Secret husband. secret husband has said her name and his own name in videos because he's not as good as keeping his mouth shut as I am, and he's not even pregnant. So, yeah, he sure did. He sure did. But me? No, not me. No. Hey, Jen. And that's why he isn't on the internet. That's exactly right, Jess. He can't be trusted. You're doing well. I can't say I wouldn't like to know, but you're super. Yeah, you know, it's just, it's not you, Sloth. It's not any of, like, it's not anybody in our community in particular. It's just like the internet at large. It's scary. I'm so scared I'll say her name and be the one to mess it all up. Well, you just call her Becca Jr. and then it's not a big deal, right? He's spilled on lives before too, but not her name. He's never spilled her name on live. He's spilled his own name on lives, but he's never spilled her. Can we just, yes, I think we should just skip over to Christmas, Anya. He's never said baby's name on live yet. He did say it on a video though, and I restarted the whole video and he was like, darn it. And I was like, well, I was like, bro, we got to get it together here a little bit. Better his name than her name. Oy vey. I totally missed it when he did that. I was like, oh, well, I mean, yeah, it's not even worth it. Here's the thing, you guys. He has such a common name. Yes, her name is Gracelyn, of course. But Secret Husband has such a common name that actually knowing his name is kind of not that helpful because it's common. It's not like a unique name at all. Like both his first and last name are like in the top 100 lists. So it's like, whatever. Well, for his age range, I don't know if his name is in the top 100 list for baby names now, but like for our age it is, you know? So. His name's Daniel, in case anyone's wondering. I'm just kidding. It's not. It's Justin. It's true. Becca just calls her different names all the time, and that does help because no one will ever be able to figure out which one's true, right? All right, sorry. My tripod got moved, and so it's all wonky. Do you want to say hello to the plant this morning? Look how thrivey this plant is. I've never been more proud of myself for keeping a being alive than I am this amazing giant monstera, because as I've shown you all, it started the size of my face, and now it's the size of my whole body. I will never not be... No, of course, Gigi, of course we wouldn't. I'm just kidding. It's neither Justin nor Daniel. I just make up names for him sometimes because I think it's funny. I spilled sesame seeds all over the floor. Oh, that sounds like a mess. Truly a mess. How is everyone this morning? How is everyone? My brother is Daniel and my husband is Justin. I just stole Jennifer's entire life just now. That's what I did. I said, I'm going to use only names that are in Jennifer's family. That is what I've decided. I'm going to go ahead and do a PSA. I know the plant is thriving. I'm going to do a PSA really quickly so that TikTok Shop does not get mad at me. Hi, my book's on TikTok Shop. If you already own it, great. If you don't want it, great. If you're interested in it, there it is. That's my pitch. It's a great pitch. I'm obviously a salesperson. But I'm saying it so we don't get banned. I typed slow. I was thinking about what you were saying about last name. Oh yeah, no, of course, Gigi, of course. But first names, I'm just gonna throw out new first names all the time because I think it's hilarious. I was cleaning the house and TikTok filtered me. You know, Jess, I've told you some of the things they filtered me for in comments to Liz. Last week, my comment to Liz, one of my dearest friends, I made a joke to her about my own fetus just moving around in my stomach and it got filtered. They said that it was bullying. I was like, yeah, the fetus is bullying me by kicking my guts. True. Couldn't believe it. I was like, y'all, some of the stuff that's said on here is real bad and you're worried about me talking about this baby kicking me. I think you need to, adjust your expectations. Okay, so Very excited for us today. We are starting Kate Johnson's Hex and the City, which, here's the sitch. This is book 2 in a series that she has. We obviously read book 1. That being said, if you are new here, I believe that they technically can also work as, that's hilarious, Sloth, as standalones. I don't know that for sure, but let's go ahead and read the blurb. It says, this is book 2 of 3 in the Best Hex Ever collection. But let's go ahead and read the blurb so that we kind of know what we're getting into. I had a Oscar, I fell asleep at home, I blinked and I said I have a 3-year-old. That's funny. You're like, safe at home from who? Depends on who we're talking about. Guys, real quick before we start, I have to tell you, Zoe has moved into full big sister mode right now, and she's really upset when Ethan touches her stuff. It's not going well in their household this weekend. She made a boat. This child fashioned a boat out of every item in their living room and then looked at her mother and said, but it's my boat, nobody can touch it. And Catherine was like, okay. And my sister said, I understand her plight, sort of, but I also understand his. And I was like, he's too little to know the difference. That's the problem. He's just too little. Yep, sign on her door is coming next. For any of you who don't know what Becca's talking about, when I was Zoe's age, I put a sign on my bedroom door that said no hitting, biting, or loud noises allowed inside, because I didn't know how to spell biting because I was a small child. And no hitting, biting, or loud noises. That was the sign. And then later in life, when I was in junior high, when Catherine and I had to share a room, I created a wall of shelves down the middle of the room and then put clothes along the rest of the space that I couldn't fill in, and she was not allowed to cross the line because she was too messy. So Zoe is baby Sasha. I thought so. I thought it was fair, Gigi. No hitting, biting, or loud noises. Listen, it's not like I was asking anyone to do anything outrageous. Don't hit me, don't bite me, don't be loud. It seems really just fine. I don't think those are crazy things to ask of someone. Now listen, toddler Catherine disagreed entirely. She liked hitting, biting, and loud noises. So, common decency, exactly. She was a toddler and she vehemently disagreed with my requests. Yeah. All those things were her favorite things. Hitting seemed like her favorite thing. Biting, she was a biter. Catherine was a biter, you guys. Do any of you have kids who are biters? My sister was a biter. She's so lucky neither of her kids came out biters. Zoe and Ethan, not biters. Catherine, she was a biter, though. You were one, Kristen? Oh my gosh, she bit me so much all the way up until she was like 10. Yours is a biter, Sloth? Yeah, but only to your sister. Right, yeah, well, same, Kristen. I mean, yeah, that's the thing. She was only biting me. Yes, I'm the victim. Yes, that's exactly correct. So really quickly, my sister went through a biting thing last time I voluntarily read a book. That's hilarious. She is younger, Kristen. She is younger. Me and my brothers were never biters. No, my brother and I weren't either, Avery, just our sister in the middle. Really quickly before we read, I'm going to tell you a fear that I have. So Zoe and I share a Chinese calendar year animal, whatever you want to call it, the Chinese zodiac. We're both the rat, the year of the rat. My baby is going to be born with the same sign as my sister. So we swapped. Now, for all of you who know Zoe, she is the sweetest, most well-behaved, perfect, adorable, wouldn't hurt a fly, very kind, very well-spoken child. What am I gonna get? What's in my belly? The concerns overwhelm me. Am I producing my sister? Who's to say? Will she bite me? Probably. A biter, exactly, Priscilla. I know, maybe it's a baby Catherine. Listen, Catherine has a lot of great qualities. Catherine's a fantastic actress. She's funny AF. You guys have seen videos of her. I mean, she's naturally a great comedian. She has great presence. She's a good friend. All of these things are great, but she was a biter. She was an obnoxious little sister, and she liked to steal my stuff. The snake. She'll be the snake, Priscilla. Unless she's born in late January, in which case she'll be a dragon, like her Uncle Max. I produced a little version of my brother, so best of luck to you. Ugh. Yes, that's exactly right, Sloth. Catherine is amazing. Baby Catherine was not amazing for me. No. Okay, let's read. And she knows it too. She's apologized in the aftermath. She tried to stab me with a knife when she was 4, you guys. This is real. Anyway, let's read. This is the book description. Something wickedly schmexy this way comes. A laugh-out-loud witchy rom-com for fans of Lana Harper and Aaron Sterling. I was not a great child, thank gods I got better. I was a good child, so it might have gone downhill from there. Things you should know about Poppy. Oh, who's Poppy? Okay, we got a new character, you guys. Number 1, she's a witch. Number 2, she has magical hair like Rapunzel from Tangled. Number 3, she lives with Iris, the head of her coven, in a beautiful ramshackle house next to Hillgate Cemetery. Number 4, she works at Hubble Bubble Magic Shop in Covent Garden. Though none of it is real magic, that would be highly irresponsible until... Dun, dun, dun. Poppy accidentally sells a gorgeous celebrity magician, Axel Storm, all 6'4" of him, a cursed pendant. Ugh. Well, when all hell breaks loose, can a guy with fake magic and a girl with real magic fix the chaos they've caused? Or will sparks fly both in and out of the cauldron? Yes, I will miss them too, but let's see what comes of this one. Yeah, I know, that was my thought too, Becca. I got paused by the name, but let's see, maybe it's okay. Maybe it's not as bad as we think. Okay. Let's get into chapter 1 here. The acknowledgement at the beginning of this book says, "For my mum, who always remembered about the mushrooms." I don't know what that means, but I hope it means that they skipped putting the mushrooms in whatever item it is, because we don't eat mushrooms in this household. In case anyone's curious, this book does come with a playlist, and Season of the Witch by Lana Del Rey is the first song. So imagine in your mind we're listening to Season of the Witch by Lana Del Rey. I love a playlist in a book. I think it's great. Chapter 1. The coven was here. Iris always said that it wasn't a coven because there were only people who believed in covens, and those were only the sort of people who got overexcited about witches dancing naked under a full moon, and it was too bloody chilly for dancing under a full moon in Highgate. Thank you. Whatever they were called, there was a hell of a lot of cackling when they came around. Poppy loitered in the upstairs hallway, clutching Malkin as if he alone could protect her from Iris's friends. Given that Malkin was, whilst technically a witch's familiar, also an overweight tomcat, it didn't seem likely he'd be much protection, but she did appreciate the company. She had to go into the kitchen for tea and toast and to find her phone and, well, to see if there were any clues as to what made her wake up this morning with a crashing hangover and a horrible sense of foreboding. "What did I do last night, Mulky?" she whispered to the cat, who purred hopefully at her, his thoughts entirely focused on his second breakfast. "Hey, Whitney." "Oh, I know. There were 2 of you. Priscilla thought the same thing, Whitney. She thought that I didn't get on, and then Gigi was like, wait a second, isn't it in 20 minutes? And I was like, yep, and they were like, oh, the time. Sorry for anyone who got confused by the time change. We're normal. We're here. And we've only read just like a paragraph and a half, Whitney, so you didn't miss much. I wish we didn't protect... sidebar. Didn't everyone vote that we didn't want daylight savings time anymore? And then the politicians were just like, never mind, we're not going to enact it even though you all said you don't want it. We here in California said we don't want it. We don't want it. Am I crazy? Did I miss that? Am I like off my rocker? They didn't get it together, but I don't like that they didn't get it together, Jen. I'm mad at them for not getting it together because we said we don't want it. We said it very clearly. It wasn't even close. Anyway, let's keep going. If she'd done anything to affect the household last night, Malcolm would know about it, and he wasn't shy about telling her. But currently, all he was interested in was his next meal, well, and Poppy's hair, which was in a combative mood this morning. As she made her way down the stairs, the cat batted and swiped at the curling strands, dislodging a couple of large hairpins as he did so. Yes, Mother Goose relatives are my politicians. It's weird, right? Because we're here in California. It's strange. Poppy winced as they clattered on the wooden treads. Maybe she had lost her phone. Maybe that's why she felt a sense of dread this morning. Poppy had a pretty sweet deal when it came to cheap rent in exchange for housework, but her wages at Hubble Bubble didn't exactly cover the amount of phones that she had lost. Iris said she had never known anyone so chaotic as... Malcolm grumbled and hissed at her hair, and then she shushed him a bit too loudly. Well, the dead arose and appeared to many. Wait, that's not the right voice. That's a southern voice. These people are in England. Let's try that again. Well, the dead arose and appeared to many, cried one of the coven, and Poppy winced. I wouldn't say that around here, Sylvia, Iris said placidly. What with it being so close to Hamhale and the cemetery just only over there. Well, it's a figure of speech, Sylvia said. When you're a witch, nothing is a figure of speech, Fiona said with feeling as Poppy entered the kitchen. It was a large room made larger by the Grand Victorian Conservatory that overlooked the excessively large Verdant Garden, and yet it still wasn't large enough to contain Iris's friends. There weren't many of them, but each one had an ego the size of, well, about Jupiter. So it was a bit of a squeeze when they decided to meet up for coffee here. This morning, they appeared to be trying to do the crossword whilst also holding a loud conversation about bees and eating all the brownies that Poppy had made whilst complaining that those brownies were terrible. Which, in fairness, they were terrible. Poppy had attempted to learn to cook from her parents, from uni friends, from boyfriends, from girlfriends, and even from actual witches. It just remained one of those things she was truly terrible at. Ugh, morning, she croaked, and tried to hold on to Malcolm as some kind of distraction, or maybe a shield, but the ungrateful bastard wriggled down out of her arms. 10 letters escort souls to the underworld, said Iris as Poppy reached for the cat's food. I don't know, the Grim Reaper? Her head swam a bit and she straightened up, still avoiding the eyes of many of Iris's friends. Ugh, there had been wine last night. And then there had been cocktails, possibly shots too. Thank God for Iris's patent rehydration and restoration remedy, or a hangover cure, as they called it in the shop. No, that's 2 words, also too easy. It has to be one of those Greek words. Latin, said Fiona, who had discreet highlights and nice nails, and constantly complained about how hard it was to raise a family in North London. Oh, the twins are getting words like this in their homework. I thought the twins were 7, said Poppy disbelievingly. 8, actually. They're very advanced for their age, don't you know, said Fiona smugly. Sylvia, who liked to argue with Fiona about pretty much every aspect of raising children, even when they were in total agreement, snorted and reached for another brownie. She was a woman of comfortable proportions and somewhat forthright views on whatever you happened to disagree with. No, you've overcooked these brownies once again, she said. Poppy sighed. Yeah, no, I know, but I undercooked them last time, so I thought maybe it would... My brownies are always in demand at the PTA meetings, Fiona said. The trick is... Did you have a good night last night? Iris asked, and then the others fell silent. Poppy glanced at Iris from under her hair, which was being beastlier than usual this morning. Good morning. Her landlady sat by the kitchen table in the biggest bay window, gray hair in a neat bun, blouse unwrinkled, the picture of calmness. Across from her sat Fiona and Sylvia, who were equally composed. They all looked at her in a way that Poppy had only ever experienced with witches, as if what they saw wasn't just your outer self, but the layers of secrets and history that you were trying to hide. They were so Self-possessed. Poppy usually felt as if she were possessed by the devil, a roulette wheel, or some very argumentative weasels. Yeah, she said cautiously. Their faces gave way to nothing. Poppy put some bread into the toaster, telling herself they were just trying to spook her. Did your friend have a nice birthday? Iris sounded so innocent, and Fiona and Sylvia were watching them like hawks. She couldn't let them know that she'd done something stupid last night, or at least probably done something stupid. Not remembering it made it even worse. Iris already thought Poppy had the self-control of a hurricane. She had no intention of adding fuel to that particular fire. Poppy attempted a nonchalance and nodded. Yeah, I think so. Well, did she like the necklace that you got her? I made her a bracelet, which you know because you helped me pick out the stones for it, said Poppy. Oh, yes, I remember, Iris said, sipping her tea. I'm surprised you do, lovey. Happy hour at the Lamb and Flag, was it? Damn it. Did they know her or did they know? Poppy's gaze flew guiltily to the sink, where she might or might not have left her glass after she's helped herself to a nightcap, or 3 nightcaps. But the sink was empty. And Poppy really hoped that was because she sorted this all out last night and not because Iris had done it herself. Yeah, I don't know, something like that, she muttered, emptying a whole satchel of food out for Malkin, who purred appreciatively. There's a cocktail umbrella in your hair, though, Sylvia said helpfully, and when Poppy reached up and pulled one out of her mane, Sylvia added, no, the other side. Poppy smiled awkwardly as she divested her hair of 2 cocktail umbrellas, some purple curling ribbon, and a wilted Gerber daisy. Her hairbrush was probably still in there somewhere, too. And you bumped into Claudia, did you? Said Iris without looking up. Poppy froze with the Gerber in midair. Ooh. Claudia, with hair like polished obsidian and lips like bruised cherries. Claudia, who smelled like jasmine and wickedness and who couldn't dance for toffee. Claudia, who had listened to Poppy's heartfelt declaration of love and then taken home another girl and hadn't even bothered to lie about it. Oh no, Jess, that's very sad. The thing is, Pops, she said when Poppy confronted her all those weeks ago with another woman's very expensive undergarments in her hand, you're not really the kind of girl that I could take home to my parents. She eyed Poppy's snarling hair and jangling bracelets, her purple eyeliner running down her cheeks, and she added kindly, You're just a bit weird, that's all. Claudia, who had been full-on snogging another woman in the doorway of the opposite of the Hubble Bubble bar last night, just as Poppy was leaving the pub. A woman in her designer dress and sky-high heels, a woman with a briefcase, a woman whose sleek hair almost certainly never attacked people of its own accord. The right sort of woman. She managed with the flower in her hand and it fell down to the marble counter. Iris calmly filled another clue into the crossword. Jezebel, she said with satisfaction, and Poppy felt her cheeks heat. That's really not fair to... 7 letters, wife of King Ahab. She broke your heart, darling. You really are allowed to be angry with her. Fiona nodded. Sylvia said, Happy hour at the Lamb and Flag is an excellent way to get through things, though, isn't it? Iris paused with a biscuit in her hand. Well, when Iris paused with a biscuit in her hand. When I found out my Herbert had been carrying on with another woman, I popped a little herbal remedy of tea into his afternoon tea. She didn't get any satisfaction out of him after that, I can tell you that much. Poppy blinked. She'd become used to Iris's non sequiturs over the years, but to get one combined with possibly an apocryphal tale from her past was halfway to bingo. Poppy had no idea how old her gray-haired landlady really was, but if even half of Iris's tales were to be believed, she lived an extremely colorful life. Yes, I did that when my college boyfriend told everyone I gave him the clap, said Fiona, nodding sagely as if this was a completely normal conversation. You 2 are lightweights, said Sylvia, leaning forward. When I found out... No, she amended, glancing at Poppy. No, I won't say it. We won't scare her. The other 2 just laughed. Well, I'm not putting anything into Claudia's drink, Poppy said firmly, buttering her toast. No curses of any kind, she added before Sylvia could suggest something else. Didn't you tell me that whatever I do would come back sevenfold? Did I say that? Said Iris absently, appearing to count on her fingers. How extraordinary of me. Psychopomp. What? Psychopomp, repeated Iris, filling in the word with satisfaction. Escorts souls to the underworld, like Paddington. Speaking of, lovely, best way to get wiggle on if you're going to make the bus on time. Oh, no, Poppy began to say that she was going to cycle to work as usual, and then she remembered that she left her bike at the shop last night and took a cab home, which was probably just as well given how much alcohol she'd apparently put away last night. Crap. Why don't you try one of those bikes that you hire, said Fiona. There's even electric ones, so you can cheat a little if you want to. She gave Poppy's thighs a critical look. If you really want to. Oh no, Poppy tried one of those, didn't you, love? Forgot to return it properly, so it charged her 300 quid. Fiona sucked in her teeth. Sylvia cackled. I didn't forget, Poppy said, gazing around wildly for her satchel. The machine wasn't working, or my phone wasn't working, or whatever. Something didn't work. Why is it always chaos with you? Said Sylvia, and there was a very short, very full silence that Poppy didn't understand the significance of. It's bad planning, said Fiona. I'm always telling the twins, failure to plan is a plan to fail. Yes, and how's that working out for you? Sylvia said, which gave Poppy the trouble of a response, saved Poppy the trouble of a response. No, it's fine, don't worry about it. I'll get the bus, she said, and snatched up the toast. The bus took twice as long, especially if she really had missed the first one, which she usually did. Where on earth were her shoes? Did she need a jacket? It was October in London, which was an absolutely absurd month for weather. Where is my Oyster card? Just use your phone, dear. Where's my phone? Fiona closed her eyes for a moment and then said, Oh, it's in your coat pocket. Good job. You went back to the shop for your coat, eh? Said Iris. How did Iris know that? This St. Luke's little summer doesn't last into the evenings, don't worry. Oh, yeah. Poppy shoved the piece of toast between her teeth, grabbed her satchel and her coat, and ran for the front door. And then she ran back, swearing, and shoved her feet into her trainers. Bye, everyone, she yelled through her toast and raced down Swain's Lane, just in time to see the 88 bus drive right on past her. Poppy stood for a moment, wondering if she had time to grab a coffee or if she would just spill it down herself on the bus anyway. Great start to the day, she said, and then it started to rain. Are you laughing at me?
I'm laughing at what the character said.
Oh, good. Yes, it's very funny. Scene break. Same chapter. Alex Rain folded his arms and gazed up at the 10-foot poster of himself outside the Mysterio Theater. Shirtless, that had been a non-negotiable, muscles defined and gleaming, hair combed back and braided like a Viking up to the extent that he was only amazed they didn't rub lye into his hair. The eyeliner was real, but the phosphorescent eyes he had on the poster had presumably been photoshopped. He felt pretty sure he remembered them saying that. The whole thing glowed in shocking violet and moody black. Axel Storm boomed in bold font. His jaw-dropping new show opening tonight. Okay, so my guess earlier was correct. I think Axel Storm is a stage name, and that's not actually the character's name. The character's actual name is just Alex, not Axel. So we can let it slide. What do you think? Said Jono, peering at some of the luminous ruins Alex Storm had appeared to be conjuring from thin air on the poster. Oh, I think I still haven't put Percy Beaker behind me yet, Alex thought to himself. Alex looked into his own smoldering gaze and rubbed his chin a little. Well, it oozes raw sexual magnetism. He swooned, the review from Edinburgh printed right across his chest. They didn't say chest in this, it says another word, but I'll say chest. And he side-eyed Jono. I don't know, he said doubtfully. I think it just needs to be a little bit sexier. Sexier, mate, you could get passers-by pregnant with this poster. Alex felt his mouth twitch. Jono winced. Wait, sorry, was that sarcasm? Sarcasm is absurd, Jono. Look at the way that they faded out the bottom half of me. I look like I'm naked. He'd been on protein powder shakes for weeks before the shoot and hadn't been allowed to drink any water on that day, so his muscles would really pop. And it had also been very hot under the studio lights. You do look like you're naked. And I distinctly remember wearing leather trousers for the shoot. They were extremely squeaky. Yes, I do remember that. They added a certain something to the proceedings. Fart noises, mostly, said Alex, and he glanced around the street. He probably shouldn't be standing right next to his own poster like this. He had spent too long creating Axel Storm to have someone see through the glamour of it all. Axel Storm smoldered in leather and eyeliner. He didn't slouch about in a hoodie with his hair in a ponytail. No. If no one knew Axel Storm was Alex Rain, then they would never know that Alex Rain used to be Sandy Grubb, and they would never remember that Sandy Grubb used to be Percy Beaker. But you know, his own image mocked down at him, you'll always know. He turned away from the absurdity of his own image and thoughts and looked at the cramped entrance to the theater, crowded with yet more posters and lights. Do you think it's safe to go back in? He said. Jono pushed at the bridge of his glasses and peered through the foyer. Maybe if we go in this way, I'd avoid backstage for a while if I were you. Yeah, maybe, Jen. I don't know. We're about to find out. That is interesting. It could be a Hannah Montana situation. That should be easy enough, said Alex dryly, what with it being opening night and all. They went into the theater's foyer and a place that was filled with... Sorry, let me reread that. I'm tripping a little bit today. They went into the theater's foyer, a place that always filled Alex with huge excitement. The ornate wooden paneling and Victorian tiles, the box office illuminated with stained glass, the little brass signs, it was all magic. The souvenir booth was lined with his posters and programs for tomorrow night, and there were t-shirts with some of his catchphrases on it. How the hell did I end up with catchphrases, he thought. From the stairwell leading to the stalls came the sounds of someone screaming in Polish. Should we start auditioning for a new Valkyrie? Jono said doubtfully. Maybe one of those girls from the corps could fill in. Who's Yelena's understudy again? We are not firing Yelena, Alex said with more confidence than he felt about it. A terrifying screech came from the auditorium, and he winced. She might quit and save us the bother, he added hopefully. They both stared at the door to the stalls. There was some really lovely Art Deco work on the signage there, and Alex tried to concentrate on that and not the screaming. Jesus, Alex, Sorry, wrong voice. Jesus, Alex, we really can't go on like this. She's your third Valkyrie this year. It's not my fault, Alex said, which was not exactly the most truthful thing that he had ever uttered. I mean, Jono began diplomatically, it kind of is your fault. How is it my fault? Jono gave him a disbelieving look. Alex attempted to look innocent, but his manager had a bit of a point. All this attention from women seemed unbelievably exciting once upon a time, and now he couldn't seem to put the brakes on it. Oh, it must be terrible for you, Alex, having all these beautiful women accidentally fall naked into your bed when you don't even ask them to. Sarcasm, Alex said weakly. Sarcasm, said Jono. Alex spread his hands. I can't help it, another direct lie. You can definitely help it. Alex pointed at one of his smoldering posters. I have raw sexual magnetism, Jono. We all know that. Oh, Jono mimed, retching. It's on the poster outside. Ah, some heavily Photoshop posters. It's paying your salary, Alex reminded him, and Jono sighed. And yet I still manage to resist the urges of you. Alex shrugged. Well, that's because I haven't turned my smolder on you. Jono held up a hand. No, please don't do it, please. Sorry, this is an amazing conversation. I love her dialogue. She's very funny. Oh, God. Sorry. Alex grinned at his friend. Well, I promise to only use my powers for good. Look, just apologize to Yelena, will you? Alex opened his mouth to protest that he hadn't done anything that he needed to apologize for, but then he shut his mouth again because he knew that wasn't how it actually worked. He hadn't promised Yelena the moon and the stars. In fact, she'd been one of his backup dancers when he was seeing Monica, and probably when he was stepping out with Shanae, too. Well, not much stepping or indeed being outside had been involved there, but that wasn't the point. The point was Yelena had seen how this sort of thing went before. From inside the auditorium came one of Yelena's famous screams, which he thought was overdoing it just a little bit. "Could you try something for me?" Jono said. Just a little experiment, real. Alex sighed. "Go on. Could you, and I know this is a difficult concept for you to grasp, so I'll go through it slowly with you. Could you try not sleeping with people you work with?" I do try, Alex said, but he wasn't even convincing himself. "Once more, say it with feeling. Okay, I'll try. No more sleeping with people that I work with." Good, that was good. "It's too messy. It is too messy." There was a silence for half a second, and then Yelena shouted something into the auditorium, and Jono's eyes slid back to Alex. "Look, I never promised anything. It was a one-time thing," Alex protested, and then his stupid ego had him adding, it was a one-night thing, not necessarily one time, you know what I mean. "I really don't want to know," Jono said. "She made the assumption that it was more, that's all I'm saying," he said. "Did you try to correct that assumption?" Alex bit at his thumb. "Look, she wanted to come to this award thing next week, and I said that she couldn't. I said I'm just presenting. I don't get a +1. She said she was my girlfriend, so she should have received an invite." Jono winced. "Ow. And you said?" I said that she wasn't my girlfriend. We just had a one-time thing." Jono groaned. "It's not even up to me. Even if we were married, I wouldn't be able to take her, but she said she had already purchased a dress." Jono covered his face with his hands. "Did you really say that married bit?" Alex felt his gaze slide guiltily to his friend, who groaned. "Should I not have said that?" Alex, Jono sighed and patted his shoulder. "It's really a good thing you're pretty." "Well, what the hell else have I got?" he thought to himself. "That really doesn't feel like a compliment," Alex said. "Mate," said Jono. "It wasn't meant to be a compliment." These guys are great. I love them. Another scene break. So I need to put my face back into the other characters. Blah, 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 blah. Sorry. Sorry, some kind of protest is going up on Camden. Bus got diverted and ended up on the tube, and I swear to God, the Morton line took me all the way to King's Cross, so I ended up in Piccadilly Circus, and then I thought that I would get out at Covent Garden because it was closer, and then what did you learn your first week in London? Not to get out at Covent Garden, which is actually because it's Banks and not Covent Garden, and it's a good one too, and wait, hello? Elspeth? Her colleague didn't even seem to have noticed that Poppy had arrived for work nearly a half an hour late. She was leaning against a largely preposterous... Apparently I have no words today. She was leaning against the large prosperity mural Poppy had painted on the wall behind the shop counter and gazing at a man who was browsing at their display of silver circlets and diadems. "Who's that?" "My future husband," Elspeth said dreamily. Poppy blinked at him. He was large, and that was all she could tell from the back of him. Nondescript jacket and a dishwater blonde man bun. Elspeth's taste in men simply baffled Poppy, but she'd only been saying wistfully last night how long she had been single, and Poppy had woven a lucky in love charm into her birthday bracelet. "Okay," she said. "Look, I just need to check on something, okay? Don't let him, walk away without paying or something?" "Maybe," said Elspeth, still gazing at him. "Right." Poppy darted into the back room, which made her head throb a bit. She hated taking the tube because something always went wrong, and she wasn't a massive fan of buses for the same reason. But her bike was still here in the back room. At least that was going right. And the bottles of luminous sports drinks that she'd picked up as she flew through Camden also helped her get over her hangover a little bit. Enough so that she could actually feel something properly magical in the shop. Her own magic too, and not just the bracelet that she'd given Elspeth the day before. Poppy made a lot of jewelry and then sold it in the shop, and she helped Iris with the teas, skin preparations, and scents that they sold there as well. But neither of them put actual magic into the things that they sold to civilians. That sort of thing would only lead to disaster. A carefully worded charm woven into a bracelet for a dear friend was one thing. Random spells being abused by Londoners at large was quite another. But something in the shop felt like magic. It was just there on the edge of her senses, like something out of sight or on the edge of her hearing. She'd done something last night, probably when she came back to the shop after hours for her jacket, and given her state of mind, not to mention the blood alcohol levels, it probably wasn't something good. She had to track down that spell or charm item or whatever it was and neutralize it before it did any damage. Bet non-witches don't have to deal with this shit, she thought to herself. A search of the back room revealed absolutely nothing. Damn it. That meant it was something out in the shop itself, which would be harder to check thoroughly. Although if Elspeth was mooning over Man Bun, at least she wouldn't notice her checking stuff. Poppy sidled out into the shop and lurked amongst the broomsticks, which proved to be a bad idea because her hair got stuck on the bristles. Can I help you with anything? Elspeth called hopefully, and Man Bun turned to glance at her. No, I'm just browsing, thanks. Well, he had a nice voice, a lovely deep baritone, the sort of voice the Poppy had heard drama students at Central St. Martin's practicing to use for weighty, serious roles. The diadems are lovely. The rose quartz one there, for instance, very helpful in... Sorry, wrong voice. This is Elspeth talking. Sorry. The diadems are lovely. The rose quartz one, for instance, yes, they're very helpful in manifesting new love. It's rose quartz, Elspeth said in an offhanded sort of way, and Poppy rolled her eyes, trying to tug her hair free from the broomstick. Man Bun put down the rose quartz diadem quickly. Ah, yes, no, not what I was looking for. What stones do you have here that are good for clarity, for seeking the truth? Well, none of them if you don't really want to see it, Poppy thought to herself, and she grabbed a hank of her hair with one hand and the broomstick with the other. Well, Adventurine, that's the green one there. No, sorry, that's Aquamarine, Elspeth said, laughing, and moved around the counter to assist him. Now, with crystals, what's very important is seeing what you're drawn to. Is this for yourself? Will you get... Poppy hissed at the besom? I don't know what that is. The besom that seemed to be making sweet love to her hair. Get off me! Be free! Will you please separate from me? And with a crash, it did as she asked, and she ricocheted backwards against a stack of cauldrons, iron cauldrons, that clattered and banged so loudly that Iris could probably hear them all the way down in Hillsgate. She winced, reaching to steady the nearest with one hand while still holding the hank of her hair with the other. Elspeth and Man Bun were both staring at her now. As Poppy met his disbelieving gaze, she realized two things. Firstly, that he was staggeringly good-looking, with full lips and a strong jawline and blazing blue eyes. And secondly, that the head of the broomstick had come off and was slowly being consumed by her hair. Poppy felt her face burst into flames. Are you all right? He asked doubtfully. Yes. Poppy tried to tug some of the broom head free, but at least half of it was gone now. Oh well, it could make friends with the hairbrush that she lost in her hair sometime this morning. You've got a horseshoe in your hair, said Elspeth, and Poppy looked up to see she'd dislodged one of the iron shoe nails around the back room door. They had been bespelled by Iris to keep wandering customers at bay, and Poppy could already feel her hair starting to spit the iron out. Oh, yes, so I have, she said, retrieving it. You might want to try lapis lazuli for clarity, she added for cover. For those seeking wisdom and enlightenment. Enlightenment, said Man Bun, splashing a smile, pure sunshine, at Poppy. Yes, that's exactly what I want. Yeah, you and me both, Poppy thought to herself. It was a feeling that she was drawn to the lapis herself right now. Probably some enlightenment was what she needed after whatever she'd done last night. Chaos seemed to be following her every move, even more than usual this morning. When she closed her eyes, she saw the way that Claudia's hand clenched that other woman's skirt. Well, we do have some lovely pendants, said Elspeth, guiding him towards the display. Perhaps something set in silver for the purity of vision? Is that for someone in particular? Perhaps someone you want to see the truth, even though it may not be very pleasant? Poppy turned away from Elspeth's dreadful flirting. The cauldrons were all over the shop, literally, and so were the brooms. She really ought to note the broken brooms in the shop's incident log too. Sylvia, who owned Hubble Bubble, was largely philosophical about minor breakage, but sooner or later she was going to start docking Poppy's wages if this kept up. She tidied up the cauldrons and the brooms and went to the back room to find the incident book, which was full of her own messy handwriting, and by the time she returned to the shop, Man Bun had thankfully left. Right, well, that's all sorted then, she said needlessly as Elspeth stared dreamily at the shop's door. Els? Hey, Els, did he buy anything? Oh, yes, one of the pendants, the lapis one with the gold flecks and the Eye of Horus. The Eye of Odin, Poppy corrected absently, which he sacrificed in order to gain wisdom. Wow, that guy really wanted to gain clarity about something, didn't he? That guy, Elspeth goggled at her. Don't you know who that guy was? Poppy shoved back her hair and said, no, but I'm pretty sure you're about to tell me. Oh my God, that was the one and only Axel Storm. Poppy waited. The name did ring the vaguest of bells, but it would probably be quicker for Elspeth to just remind her, probably. Axel Storm, Elspeth repeated. Well, repeating his name isn't helping me right now. Who is Axel Storm? Oh my God, Pops, where have you been all your life? Elspeth was about 5 years younger than Poppy, but on occasion it felt like she was more 50 years younger. Just sitting in my rocking chair, I guess, gazing through my cataracts at my many cats, Poppy said. That bracelet you gave me is totally good luck, said Elspeth, fiddling with it on her wrist. I can't believe it brought Axel Storm into the shop. It's like all my plans are working. Plans? Said Poppy, but Elspeth wasn't listening. She grabbed her phone from the pocket of her fashionable jeans and scrolled through an app. Here, look, Axel Storm. Poppy peered at the screen, where dry ice and thumping music seemed to be taking center stage, and eventually she realized there was also a man in the middle of it. He wore some kind of leather and a metal outfit that could only be described as maybe a rock star Viking, and his blonde hair had little braids and a lot of backcombing going on. Oh, yeah, haven't I seen posters for him somewhere around? Poppy said and Elspeth her. In the mythical halls of Valhalla, he intoned in that same baritone but with a more sonorous accent, the souls of the dead were flown to eternal paradise, the terrifying and beautiful shield maidens known as the Valkyrie. He smoldered into the camera and Elspeth swooned and Poppy said, Is he wearing eyeliner? Through the smoke and strobing lights, a woman dressed as a sexy Viking descended from the heavens, appearing to carry a fully grown man, yes, in more sexy armor. He was artfully bloodstained and helpfully stuck with an arrow. The Valkyrie also did a lot of smoldering to the camera, which concentrated on her smoky eyes and exposed cleavage, and not on how she released herself and her passenger from the harness that they were lowered in. Gotta admire the stagecraft, I suppose, said Poppy, who had taken a few aerial ballet classes when she was dating a gymnast at uni. Poppy, that's not the point, said Elspeth. Look, here's the best part. Watch this. Poppy couldn't help but notice that the video had a little favorited icon in the corner. Elspeth had apparently watched this a lot. Axel Storm was now doing a lot of hand waving and emitting glowing streams from lights in his palms. It was a nice trick. Poppy, who was an actual witch, couldn't even do that. She could light candles with a glance, but glowing hands were beyond her, no matter how many times she had tried to do this in the privacy of her bedroom. Yeah, I wonder if it's like lasers of some kind, she murmured as Axel Storm was chanting some kind of language that was presumably meant to resemble Old Norse or something like that. The sexy Valkyrie sashayed forward with a goblet of smoking liquid which she presented to the warrior with a blood-stained armor. He drank from it and dramatically stiffened, his arms flying wide and the goblet crashing to the floor in a splash of glowing liquid. "Watch," Elspeth said, as the dead warrior began to rise into the air, apparently unaided. Axel Storm's hand gestures urged him upward, the music surging as Axel strained and pouted. Poppy had to stifle a giggle. Eventually, the warrior vanished out of sight, presumably into the fly loft of whatever theater this was being performed in, and Axel Storm pronounced, "He has ascended," to great applause. It was a flying trick, no more than that, invisible wires and the likes. You saw similar ones on stage in West End every single night, and even twice on Saturdays. "I don't," she began to say, but Elspeth said, "There's more." "But not every warrior can ascend," said Axel Storm portentously as the Valkyrie reappeared. When had she even vanished? Anyway, there was another dead warrior in her arms. This one had black armor, so you knew he was evil. The music shifted into a minor key, and thankfully then the shop door opened and chimed, and Poppy said, "Okay, put it away," with some relief. "But this is the best part," Elspeth said, lamenting. "I'll look it up later," Poppy promised. To the customer, she said brightly, "Hey, is there anything we can help you with today? Our broomsticks are particularly lively today. One of them did just try to fly into my hair." The customer, a woman wearing a velvet coat with lots of jewelry, smiled at Poppy. "Oh, your hair is amazing. What do you use on it?" "Well, I feed it a regular diet of natural bristles," said Poppy, and the other woman laughed as if this was a joke. "We also have a lovely preparation with coconut oil and rosehip, which I think would be really nice for your curls." She moved out from behind the counter to sell the woman some hair products and forgot all about the Rockstar Viking. More customers came in, and Poppy sold them some diffusers and soup cauldrons and silver jewelry, and only when she was explaining the use of lapis lazuli to an American tourist did she remember about the charmed item she'd been looking for earlier, and how she really couldn't feel it here anymore at all. In fact, she hadn't felt it since, with a sudden flash of clarity that had nothing to do with the lapis earrings she was holding, Poppy remembered careening into the shop last night, retrieving her coat and knocking over half the pendants on the rack opposite her counter. She'd been grumbling about Claudia under her breath, and had she accidentally cursed one of the pendants? And had it been the lapis and silver eye of Odin that Elspeth had sold to Axel Storm? "Oh, fuck," she breathed, which probably cost her the sale of the earrings. Dun, dun, dun. Oops. Oopsie. Well, that was a rousing first chapter to our new book. Very fun, very exciting. As usual, Kate Johnson's dialogue is hilarious. So funny that even Secret Husband laughed as he walked by in the middle of it. I will be back on again. I know, so good, right? It's a great start, you guys. I'm totally in agreement with everyone who's saying that. I will be on again for Roll for Slime this afternoon. If you have been looking for a Roll for Slime slot, I think one opened up this morning on the tiers. The great thing about the Roll for Slime tiers is that you can trade for customs. That's the only spot other than the custom spot where you can actually get customs. So that's a fun spot to go to. And then the other thing is, if anyone signed up for other days on Roll for Slime, but you were waitlisted because of how many people were in a day, there are spots still available for today, so you can switch into today if you want to. What else is going on? I think that's the whole kit and caboodle. Roll for Slime is at 4:30, Avery. Yeah, it'll be at 4:30. I will see you all tomorrow morning, and I hope you have a great day. It depends, Naisa. I think it's going to be on YT because I think it depends. So like right now we just have one AD, so it's hard to say, but I'll put up a link either way to it. But it's going to be at 4:30 regardless. So there is an After Dark included. So like, I don't know. It's a Christmas After Dark, I think. So there's some funny stuff in there. Christmas After Dark has some pretty funny charms, you guys. So we'll all get a good chuckle, if you will, out of that. Lots of monthly slimes are being mailed today, so keep an eye out for those in your DMs and then again in your mailbox. And I think that's pretty much the whole kit and caboodle until I see you later. I gotta eat breakfast and run to the post office and then be back in time to mix some slime. I will see you all this afternoon. Have a great day until then. Bye.